Hello again, Steve here with a few thoughts that came across my mind. I was reading a Facebook post a while back from somebody who I've known, and she was kind of lamenting the fact that the kids were all excited when their dad came home, and maybe not so excited when she came home. And I think there's a lesson to be learned here for sure. I think that there is, generally speaking, the tendency of kids to have more fun with their dad than with their mom. And there's probably several reasons for this. One being, generally speaking, kids spend more time with their mom. So it's just like the old thing, what's newer, what's less available, seems to be more exciting. I remember one time when I was a kid, my mom always made homemade bread. I was bored of homemade bread. My friend, his mom always gave him store-bought bread with Cheese Whiz. Oh, by the way, my sandwiches were homemade cheese or homemade something, home cooked mutton or something, and homemade bread. And he had Cheese Whiz with store-bought white bread, which to me was just fabulous because I never got that. And he liked mine because he never got homemade bread. So it's whatever is more rare, I think, and very often kids' time with their dad is more rare than it is with their mom. So that's probably one of the big things. The other thing probably too is that guys to a kid tend to be more like a big kid, and that's probably more exciting. Like, it's generally speaking that moms set all these rules and prohibitions and so on that kids can't do. It's like, don't run down the stairs, whereas mom's out and dad's there. It's, hey, let's slide down the stairs, or it's sort of the complete opposite very often, the way guys are. And it probably comes down to our genetics. I mean, women tend to be more conservative in terms of wanting to preserve. So they want to hang on to money, for example. They want to hang on to things. They tend to be more monogamous. They tend to be more into building nests and whatnot. And guys tend to be more risk takers. And there's probably something to do with our genetics. It's probably we are genetically different, and for good reason. I mean, women have within their body, basically, realistically rather, not basically, the most prized entity or item of the world for guys, which is eggs, right? They're reproductive, and they're in limited supply. Whereas guys, the equivalent thing in guys, sperm, is just unlimited. It can just be thrown away and wasted and blown on, sprayed all over the place, right? So guys have this tendency just to women at times, to look kind of carefree. And kids have that tendency. Kids tend to they come into the world without a lot of structure, with no rules and so on, and they want to do this and do that, and they're curious and whatnot, and guys tend to provide that for them. And therefore, I think probably one of the reasons why studies show that the biggest predictor of success in a child's life is having a father around. The biggest single predictor, not money and community and so on. The biggest single predictor is having a dad around. I would say is probably because, well, I'll back up for a minute. Probably, maybe even bigger in terms of success having a mother around. I don't know, maybe it's equal. But more studies are done on fatherlessness because that's more of a norm, right? So it's easier to get a study when the vast majority of single parenting is women, so to study the effects of the missing man, not the missing woman, because the woman's not missing. So having said that, but of all the other things out there, lack of schooling, poor economics, health issues, whatever other socioeconomic stuff is going on. Of all those things, the lack of a father in the lives of children is by far the most significant in terms of their failures in life. And it probably has something to do with also the guy's tendency to want to explore and to be permissive, to allow children to do, and to allow children to be injured, to allow children to experience the results of their actions, which is less of the case, especially with the helicopter parenting that a lot of women like to do, because they tend to be more pullback and guarded and protective, whereas a guy is more apt to live vicariously through the kids, which is to just let the kids do and let them experience what it is that they want to experience and run around and invent things and, you know, slide down the hill without a helmet and all kinds of things like that, and experience, you know, what it takes to crash and get a little bit hurt. And those sort of things I think are extremely valuable in terms of life lessons. And not to say that there isn't an importance to safety, of course there is. And that's why, ideally, a little bit of the woman's view and a little bit of the guy's view makes for ideal parenting, I would say, because both are important. You got to let your kids explore and so on, but you also got to help them to be safe as well. So a little bit of the feminine, a little bit of the masculine is great. A little bit of too much, like in the example of single parenting, it sort of excludes the other, and then that limits the child's development, I would say. So to anybody who's listening, if this is of any help, I think it's important to be involved with their children's lives, or for grandparents to be involved with our grandchildren's lives if their parents are okay with it, to the extent that we give them the experience of exploring and the importance of safety as well, so that they become as successful as they can be in the fields that they want to be, without our tendency of trying to encourage them to be certain things, allow them to be what they want to be. So hopefully this is of any help. If you like the video, like, subscribe down below, and we'll talk again soon. Steve here. Bye-bye for now.